everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me as always is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back to another fantastic episode where we will talk about how everybody's complaining about how things move too slow and things are boring and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, tis the way things have been for a while, huh?
Oh boy,
it's okay.
You know, it's kind
of
funny because like I've seen some people that I know are pretty diehard Star Wars fans that are kind of crapping on Andor, and I got some hot takes for you with this particular episode today. We're going to talk about it, and it is episode 5 that we're going to go over today, called The Axe Forgets, which is fine.
The way they tied that name in was kind of dumb. I wasn't a big fan of it.
Yeah, it is what it is. But like, I've got some takes on the episode, but it's been not, I don't know. I mean, like IMDb, I remember when we were checking that as we were doing our ratings, which coincidentally right off the bat, so Chase and Eric from These Are the Voyages, I actually do have a document that I haven't quite incorporated yet, so we can both see it. But it is there, and it does have the ratings for this season. And going forward, I might actually put ratings in there. Who knows? They're tracked, at least for this series. But I know that we had some pretty positive marks for the show, but man, there were some negative people this week that I saw. Just
last week was very positive, so I was kind of hoping it would last.
Yeah. I mean, it's still holding an 8.1 on. As the overall series
for the whole series or the season.
Yeah, for the season so far, it's still been pretty positive.
Does it still have a rating for the season and for the series, even though they should be the same?
Oh, that's right. It did have that. Yeah. Well, because it's weird because they do have a drop down for season 2 because it is supposed to be at least 2 seasons.
Has someone
I don't
made
know
a
where I saw that
bullcrap review on season 2? Is that why they're different, or?
I have no idea. Right now, I can't find that particular thing, but yeah, it's been interesting to see people kind of turn a little bit, but anyway, I suppose before we just jump into that, we have to jump into our. I can't really do it. I haven't watched a new Lord of the Rings show yet. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, so. You're not up to date? You didn't watch episode 6?
No, I'm not up to date. We kind of got behind in doing other things over the weekend and throughout the week this week, so I'm not caught up yet.
Well, it's okay. You didn't miss a whole lot. Galadriel just dies. It's not a big deal.
Sweet. Cool. Yeah. Sounds good. Wow.
No, we did have a little more action this episode, so yeah, I think you might like it a little bit more. Most beautiful episode so far, like by far. Very well done, but still a little slow, even for a big action-packed episode, but I won't say anymore.
Fair enough. Yeah, sorry.
Are you behind on that because you started House of Dragon?
Nope, still haven't started that either. I know I do want to eventually get into it. It's just one of those deals where I just don't want to yet. I haven't felt the inkling. Hey, but I have watched. I am up to date on the new season of Rick and Morty. Did you watch that?
Oh, you've watched every episode? No, I've only watched episode 1. Nice. I kind of forgot that it had come out until last week.
Well, it's weird because
it always happens like that. I always just randomly it's been a long time since I've watched Rick and Morty. Is there a new season? Yeah, there's 5 episodes out.
Well, how I learned about the new season coming out is YouTube Shorts. Like YouTube Shorts event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just started seeing things that I hadn't seen yet. I was like, oh, it must be a new season. Went in there and checked, and they were about 3 episodes deep. And so we sat down because they're a little bit shorter. So we sat down and watched them. This past week's episode was interesting, but not quite as good as some of the other ones that they've put out. But yeah, it's been an interesting season so far. They don't have They don't have portal guns this season so far.
They still haven't gotten the portal gun fixed?
I don't think so. Yeah, if I remember that hasn't been fixed yet, or maybe.
So we're not dealing with the multiple universe stuff right now.
Apparently not yet. Yeah, it's just like you just say you watched it. What, you don't know? It's like, hey man, I'm not trying to spoil it for everybody.
Well, I guess Evil Morty did mess up the curve.
Yeah, but yeah, no,
I had to do a recap of the last season because I totally forgot everything that happened. I finished the recap. It's like, yeah, that didn't help at all. I still don't really understood what happened, but it's fine. I don't need to.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's still fun to watch. So, you know,
a little more intelligent than like watching Family Guy and all the other animated stuff, at least.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see the not trailers but little announcement videos for Deadpool 3?
So I did. I haven't watched anything, but I did see where they're bringing back Hugh Jackman, or Huge Ackman, as I like to call him, to reprise Wolverine. So,
yeah, and apparently it's not going to mess with the Logan timeline. It doesn't like destroy that or anything. But yeah, I don't know exactly what timeline they're going to go with, but I think it'd personally be funny if they went back to X-Men Origins Wolverine, like with the really crappy version of Deadpool, and just have new Deadpool shoot him and just take over from there and go through some of his old adventures with him with like a little 10-minute montage to get us up to date.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But to be fair, I haven't watched Deadpool movies.
Oh, you didn't watch 1 and 2?
Nope.
2 has Juggernaut. It's actually a really well done Juggernaut.
But does he say the line?
No.
Dang it.
Well, I don't think he says that.
I'm the Juggernaut. So I self.
Oh, he does.
He does say it?
He
Okay,
does.
so then there you go. That's all I need.
He also rips Deadpool in half very
Fantastic.
graphically. No, I would recommend. They are pretty entertaining movies. They're not your typical Marvel affair.
Yeah, I just, I've said it before. I'm burnt out with Marvel.
Oh, I get that.
That's
where
tough.
I was when I watched the Deadpool movies, which is why I appreciated them. I was burnt out a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, right.
Yeah, maybe this is, huh?
Well, right now they're gonna be phasing into like Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty stuff, and it's like, I don't know, man. You killed Iron Man, so like.
Yeah, I was talking about that with someone the other day. It's like, what do you do? Do you recast him? Do you just cheat and use the multiverse and bring him back and just convince, Robert Downey Jr. to come back? I mean, that's the best option, I think. But at what point do deaths become meaningless? It's almost like old, like Dragon Ball Z. It's like, oh no, somebody died. Oh, they're back. Death doesn't matter.
That's what happens in comics, though. Death is never mattered in comics. They kill off and bring people back all the time. Reboot. It happens a lot.
Yeah. That comes a point where it's like, well, is the storytelling and the character development just not important at this point? It's just all about spectacle.
Basically.
And I feel like that's what we've gotten to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, I mean, it kind of had to turn into that. Otherwise, it would be nothing.
True. I mean, or you could just like, Tom Holland, Peter Parker can just become Iron Man, and then we bring up Miles Morales or something to be Spider-Man. That'd PO some people off.
I'd thought about that. I think that would be kind of neat in a way.
There are some people that do not care as much for Miles Morales because it's like, well, you get it. People who talk about like virtue signaling and all that stuff, and like, effectively whatever ethnicity washing a character. And all that stuff. I mean,
but in the comics, he was a black character. I mean,
I mean, technically, you could also say the same for like Green Lantern. There are two major Green Lanterns. Aquaman. Mm-hmm. There's a white Aquaman too. And I mean, the whole thing is like, I don't know. You could go back on lore for anybody and swap anything, but. I don't know. I personally, I think Miles Morales is actually more accepted than a lot of other things. Things. I'm talking about them like things, characters.
Right. I knew what you meant.
and honestly, it was aided, in my opinion, a lot by the video game.
Yeah. I didn't play it personally. Obviously, I don't have a PlayStation, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, watched some videos on it. And honestly, just for that alone, I've wanted to get a PlayStation just to play all the Spider-Man games. But also, from what I've heard, he has some of the best villains. His uncle being one of them. I can't think of his villain name off the top of my head, but yeah, it seemed like to me Morales had one of the more interesting backstories, with his, dynamic with his father, his uncle, and just how awkward in a different way he was. I don't know.
The only thing that I guess I could say is a little bit kind of like overly OP is he also has like shock power. So he's not, he has the Spider-Man power, but he also has shock power, but also like in the game, there is a Peter Parker. So there's basically two Spider-Men.
Doesn't he like go away on vacation or something?
Something like that.
And then he comes back like halfway through the game and he helps you out a little bit.
But it's almost like they kind of took Static Shock and like Spider-Man and mashed them together. It's like, but Spider-Man's enough. You don't have to have both.
Not a lot of people know that reference.
Static Shock?
Yeah.
Well, they tried.
That was one of my favorite shows growing up.
Yeah. But no, I think they tried to do something, but it was with Static Shock. But I feel like it was like the CW or some crap like that. So it's bound to fail.
Well, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like again, you get back to sort of like the people who babble back and forth, where you'll get some folks who say stop ethnic washing characters, but there again, how many original, say black characters, Hispanic characters or whatever are really elevated all that much? Because really what you have is Black Panther. That's one. Luke Cage kind of had a thing on Netflix.
Yeah, the
Static
Defender
Shock
series really pushed with him. That was a good series.
Yeah, I never again too much Marvel. I don't know much about Luke Cage as a character, but I know he is historic. But like technically you have like the Iron Patriot, which Rhodey. Yeah. So that's I don't remember if Rhodey was whatever in the comic, but anyway, he is obviously now Forrest Whitaker and then Don Cheadle. But like, Static Shock, I feel like you could make a run or a movie or like a serious series with Static Shock and make it cool. But I don't think that they're interested.
He was one of the more iconic, lesser heroes. And honestly, we all grew up with him being a black character. Even if he's not in the comics, who cares? Because that's what we remember.
I don't know the cartoon.
Don't care to ever look into
the
comics. So, yeah.
I think he was an original black character. I am pretty sure he was, but I mean, I remember the cartoon and so forth. But anyway, you could throw that out there. I think that would be kind of neat. But anyway, back to Miles Morales. Take away the shock power, just make him Spider-Man. I think it would be fine. But like, it is what it is. I think you could be more accepting.
Doesn't he have a stealth suit as well? Doesn't he have like an invisibility suit as well?
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe that was just in the cartoon. I don't know, the Spider-Verse cartoon with Spider-Pig and the anime girl mech Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Oh, and other news, completely unrelated to any of the nerdy topics that we, get into. What was your opinion of I Am Legend as a movie? Just kind of a throwback there.
The Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
I Am Legend. So that was the one with the zombies that come out at night or whatever.
He's a scientist and kind of turns out in the ending he's kind of a bad guy, like experimenting on people to find the cure, and he gets attacked and supposedly dies at the end. Spoiler to anyone who didn't watch the movie from 2006.
Well, get over it. It was fine. Yeah, it was a decent enough movie for the time.
So they're actually making a sequel to it. I had looked into it for a while. Kind of looked like a fake, but with all the stuff that happened with Will Smith, a lot of his stuff kind of like got pushed back. But apparently it is still in the works. And yeah, they're going to be making number 2, which I'm kind of excited for. Obviously, it canonizes the ending where he like hides in the shelter. Because if you remember, there was the alternate ending where I even talked to some people about it's like, well, you didn't see him blow up. It's like, well, he rammed into a glass wall with a grenade.
Yeah, true.
So I'm pretty sure he blew up. But
look,
yeah.
I like Will Smith as an actor. I don't like what he did at that award show.
I didn't either.
I mean, look, there are plenty of times when I've thought about punching somebody. There are some times when I have punched people. Yeah. Don't tell anybody about it.
Well, not to get into anything crazy that might piss off people, especially anything racially charged. Not that that has anything to do with what we're talking about, but trigger some people. He really shouldn't have been defending her. She's not really worth defending based on her actions. So, still his wife. Understandable. So, yeah, but
it's that whole marriage, that whole thing is weird. It's Hollywood. It's weird. I don't want anything to do with it. But I think that there were better ways to handle that situation.
Oh, absolutely.
And he didn't handle it well. And it sucks because, like I
all
said,
he really did was help Chris Rock get a little bit more
special, baby.
Variety.
Yeah, he was going on tour almost damn near after that. So
I almost wondered at first if it was all staged until it got to the point where Will Smith was just completely berated and no one came out and be like, hey, this was fake.
True enough. But yeah, I mean, Independence Day is still one of my favorite movies. Mm-hmm. I've enjoyed his
7 Pounds and Pursuit of Happiness are two of my favorites as well.
But yeah, no, he's definitely a really good. I mean, hell, even that award show, he was getting an award for King Richard. Anyway, the Venus and Serena Williams movie.
Still need to watch that.
I actually still don't understand why it was called King Richard. I mean, I understand why it's called, but it's like Venus and Serena aren't enough about the dad. I don't care about the dad. But anyway, yeah. So there you go.
That's like caring about the dad in a Michael Jackson movie.
I don't think I'd want to hear about his dad. I don't want to hear about that. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. One last thing before we jump into the more important topic about how our weeks have been. Blade. Blade is something that's another character that I think
absolutely
that would be,
and a lot of people forget that that's Marvel, but it's both Marvel and the least Marvel thing out there, and that's kind of what people need right now. I think that's why Deadpool is so popular because it was R-rated, violent, a little bit raunchy, and it was just so different. Well, Blade is on another level. Well,
the first Wesley Snipes Blade movie, I think personally, aside from some of the CGI and stuff, I think it still holds up. I still really like that movie. I would, look, Wesley Snipes for me is Blade because I watched the 3 movies he did.
That series tried so hard, and they actually put some effort in, but I couldn't enjoy that actor. It was nothing against him, but.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because Wesley Snipes is ingrained. He was a memorable actor in and of itself, but I would really like to see a really conscious casting of Blade, and maybe try and get Wesley Snipes in as sort of like the Whistler role or something like that. Either or, because you could make up anything you want anymore, especially with comic characters. But
you could do something where he has a son. And he passes the mantle down. I think that'd be pretty sweet because you'd be able to justify why they have the same power. Because realistically, how often is that going to happen?
Yeah, very true. But anyway, Blade's one that I'd like to see. That interests me more than, and no offense, but that interests me more in furthering the Black Panther line. Blade was my guy. I love Blade.
Yeah, that was the first. I don't know about you, one of the first R-rated movies I was allowed to watch, although it was TV-14 edited, of course, on FX or whatever channel we watched it on. Probably Spike TV.
Yeah, you remember the PlayStation 1 video game that we had and everything? Yeah.
Yes. That was good times.
Clunky,
terrible controls, but so fun. Kind of like Tenchi.
Oh, for sure.
A little bit.
Well, anyway, let's go ahead and roll into how was your week?
Not too bad. Not a whole lot going on, really. I did a little bit of work on the new car, did some brakes, oil change, whatnot. And not a whole lot, honestly, this week. We went to a tailgate, a work function tailgate for the Ohio State game. Hung out there for a little bit on Saturday. Then we went to a Hofbrauhaus House in Columbus, got some good German food. And the rest of the weekend was pretty lazy, which is exactly what I wanted. What about you?
Oh, let's see. So what did really happen this past week? I guess nothing really crazy. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Did go to the state game. Watched that. Watched Ohio State kick Rutgers in the behind. Yeah, did that, and then, dang, is that? Yeah, that was really about it. Nothing really too major this weekend.
Didn't get to watch a Browns game.
So I did watch the Browns game. As far as the Browns go, that is a team that has a lot of problems and a lot of excuses. They should, conservatively speaking, they could be whatever 4-0. At this point, there's absolutely no reason for them to have lost against Atlanta. Atlanta is not a good team. What
was their record?
They were 1-2. We were 2-1. So now we're both 2-2. There's no conceivable reason they should have lost. The defense is absolutely terrible, and I'll tell you what, I don't care if the scheme Joe Woods is running, who's a defensive coordinator, is the right scheme or whatever, and the players aren't doing it right. That's on him. If you can't get your players to play up to your level, and this is the same thing that's happened the past 3 years with Joe Woods. They start abominably, and then eventually they kind of get on, and then the offense flops. That is not a good recipe, and he should not be an NFL defensive head coach in that case. And I don't know if it's just because, you pair him with the head coach they have and Kevin Stefanski, it just doesn't work out. I am tired of people making excuses for this team because it's not good. The defense is way too talented, and every week they have muffed some coverage that has led to a big, huge pass play that completely swings the momentum and makes average quarterbacks, and they are all average that we've faced so far, look like superstars. The worst thing with the Atlanta game, we're going in there the number 6th or 7th ranked defense against the run, and they ran all over us. They destroyed that defense. It looked terrible.
Wow.
So, yes, Joe Wood should be fired. Kevin Stefanski, personally, I don't even really care about him anymore either, because made mistakes, got to get better. It's like, no. At this point, you need to start growing a set and calling people out. Hey, our secondary is terrible. They're missing this, they're missing that. You know what's going on. So yeah, personally, that was a terrible game. It was embarrassing, and they should all be embarrassed. I don't care that Myles Garrett was out and Jadeveon Clowney was out. I don't care who you had out. You were embarrassed, and you should be embarrassed. And then the exact same thing that happened week 2 happened this week with Jacoby Brissett. They have to march down and get points, and Jacoby Brissett throws an interception. And people, there's one particular guy that I have. I think his name's Quincy Carter. He has a YouTube channel, and I watch some of his stuff. That guy, as much as I've normally agreed with him, has apologized up and down and been this Jacoby Brissett stan. And he was very much against Baker Mayfield, which Baker honestly hasn't really played all that well with the Panthers, if we're being honest about it. But
and everyone said it was because the Browns sucked. No, he just sucked.
I don't think he sucks. I think that he has been broken. I think he's been broken because Stefanski. I honestly think Stefanski collared him, and now he's in his head. I don't think he'll ever be right. I think he's got a lot of talent. I don't think he'll ever be right again, though. But I like Jacoby Brissett. I think he's fine. But if you are blowing leads, that guy is not the guy to do heroics. And I'm sorry, but Deshaun Watson, after basically 2 years of being out, isn't going to be your savior. You lost the farm for nothing. this team is going to do nothing. You're beating down your two excellent running backs for nothing. You signed Amari Cooper, who's been playing really, really well, for nothing. You lost OBJ. And who is our other receiver from last year? Jarvis Landry. You lost him for nothing. So, yeah, it's not good. Not looking good for Browns fans at all. And, very critical because there's a lot of talent there. They look like trash.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there you go.
Yeah, it's a shame. I hate to only be able to enjoy watching Ohio State. I really don't care as much for Ohio State as I do Browns. I've always been an NFL guy.
Yeah.
That's more of just an excuse to get around, other people. I've never really cared that much to watch the games.
Nah, not at all.
I just wish it didn't have to be such a closet thing to enjoy the Browns. Like you could share it with other people and be happy,
100%.
I have one other person I watch it with, and, we get kind of excited, but it's always with so much anxiety that you never really truly quite enjoy yourself,
Absolutely.
Years of being beaten down. You just expect it at this point.
No doubt. So anyway, we've talked about everything but Star Wars, so I figured we might want to actually get into the episode.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we do only have one episode to go through, and that's so little content. I mean,
so little.
They really need to go back to uploading about 4 episodes a week for us to go through. That would be so much better.
I'm good on that. So we have 45-minute run time. Obviously, it winds up being about 38 minutes with the beginning and the end credits. Little deceiving there. And we are, basically picking back up where we left, eating some blue Cocoa Puffs with blue milk with your mommy.
I was glad you noticed Cocoa Puffs, too.
Dude, I'm telling you, if that's not in a Disney park, that will be out on shelves at some point.
Oh, I guarantee it. You're going to get blue milk, too, at this point. With how much they're pushing it, it's going to happen.
Well, I'm just saying whoever makes Cocoa Puffs, maybe it's Post or something, is going to have a limited edition Star Wars Andor Cocoa Puffs.
Depressed ex-cop Cocoa Puffs.
With special blue centers. It'll turn your milk blue. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I love how we just have the zoom into it. Obviously, it has nothing to do with marketing, but
yeah, that's
pretty funny.
That's all it's for, and I guarantee there's cereal out there, or there will be. I will say this series, we're talking about Blade being kind of like anti-Marvel. I feel like Andor is really attempting to be a little bit anti-Star Wars because, again, it feels to me more like Blade Runner than it does Star Wars at times.
It really does, and I love it so much for it. Honestly,
I actually really like
this is such a breath of fresh air.
I don't understand why people don't like it as much. I don't get it.
Even on an episode where a whole lot doesn't happen, like this episode, it doesn't matter. It's still enjoyable. An episode of Kenobi where a bunch of stuff happens, I feel like is less enjoyable than a simple watching our little slice of life stuff with this guy. I mean, it's really good, genuine acting. And that's the thing. It feels real. You can understand and relate, even if you didn't grow up that way, you can relate to this guy's issues with his mom. And it shows so well why he is the way he is. It's like, it's like Hux all over again. You really see why he's developed the way he is. And it's such a breath of fresh air to have some intelligent writing and acting. It doesn't have to be super exciting. It doesn't have to be the most profound thing ever. It just has to be real. And I've loved this show more and more every week. I mean, it just gets better for me.
Yeah, and like, there's really no pleasing some people. I think that you'll get some folks who are like, well, look, you're not developing enough, so we don't care about the characters, or you're developing too much, we don't care about. I mean, literally, I saw one comment that said, all we have is development, and all these characters are going to die pretty soon, and I won't remember them or care about them. So it's like, are you saying that, what the hell are you saying? I don't know.
So every well-developed character in all of cinematography, you don't care about if they die? With that logic, why do we care about Darth Vader? He is the most fleshed out character in Star Wars. But he died, so what's the point in going through his story, even though that's the entire point of Star Wars? I don't get that logic. And honestly, I think that would be probably my only flaw with Rogue One, is we didn't necessarily get as much development with some of our support characters that we loved so much. So I feel like they're kind of trying to make up for it in this show. I'm fine with the fact that all these characters that are around Andor are probably going to end up dead. But I'm also fine getting to know them a little bit so their deaths actually matter.
Yeah.
Because if they don't matter, what's the point in focusing on them for so long?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, just a little moment with the mom and son here. We're talking about Uncle Harlow, and maybe he'll get you a job. I mean, you don't have any prospects, do you?
Harlow doesn't want to talk to you, Mom.
Yeah. It was funny. And we do get a little bit more towards the end where it's just literally just expanding on the same thing. It's like, well, I called and I told him that you're a loser, and he's gonna maybe think of something for you. So that's kind of we'll see how that all pans out. But we also leave that cop character, was it Cyril or something like that? We leave him with looking at that hollow of Andor. So he's got it out. He definitely wants to, or he's gonna be blaming Andor for losing his whole thing, even though it's his own incompetence, which is a typical story.
Right.
Then we kind of get back with Andor, who, the funny thing is you actually did have the whole cast list. So what I'm going to say is you have to figure out all these character names for me.
I don't have to.
Who's our suspicious guy?
So no, that's a young kid.
No, not the young kid. The other, the one who's kind of the not nice one. Oh boy.
Brasso?
No, Brasso's his friend. Let's see.
Yeah, these pictures are really terrible, unfortunately.
I enjoy that. In order to actually read this article, to potentially find some stuff, I have to prove I'm not a robot.
I did not have to.
So dumb. Boy. Let's see.
Maybe it's
Skeen. So Skeen has basically pilfered Andor's stuff, and he's really suspicious of the motivation. Which I could understand. Random dude shows up, and you're basically going to be robbing the Empire of all of its money. That's pretty tough, but so we have Skeen out here, and he is kind of trying to get a little bit more out of Andor. He notices some of the tattoos and so forth, and they're kind of trading stories back and forth a little bit there. I'm not really interested in this character all this much.
Yeah, Skeen's probably my least favorite.
I don't know why.
I'm overly obsessively untrusting arc gets really old really quickly if you don't actually start trusting the person. So
I'll be honest, I'm not really interested in any of these rebels all that much.
I kind of like Cyril.
Cyril's
a little bit.
No, Cyril's the cop guy.
Oh no. Oh,
you're talking about the kid.
These people are mixed up. Yes, the kid. He looks like the kid in these pictures. These pictures are terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
he was kind of interesting in a way.
Sure.
A little more entertaining.
Well, he's a believer.
Yeah.
He's a true believer, and he's got a manifesto, and he's kind of like a conspiracy theorist type of thing. He's fine. He's definitely going to die.
Oh yeah, he's going to be the first, and it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, he is 100% going to die, and I feel like our head girl is the only one who's going to survive, even though we kind of set her and her little girlfriend up to like do something stupid at the end of this episode. But I feel like her and Andor will be the only ones who make it out of this.
Yeah. Which, by the way, what is their role in all this? Do they ever actually explain it?
They didn't explain what their role was. I feel like it's going to be like a distraction or something like that, or maybe some sort of insurance policy. Or they're going to be stealing something other than the credits that will wind up being like a bigger deal that Andor's not supposed to know about. So that'll be kind of an interesting thing. But we'll sort of see. So it's Vel. Vel is kind of like the leader here. So I don't know, man.
Kind of, because she doesn't really know how to lead very well.
Well,
she certainly makes all of her company mistrust every action she takes and mistrust Andor because she doesn't really choose to be honest about him at all. Even a very simplistic version of his story. I mean, they could give him something or give them something. But yeah, she's, because of her incompetence, it kind of makes me wonder if she is going to survive.
Really. I think she will. And by the way, the kid's name was Nemik. So Nemik with his manifesto, the pace of repression outstrips our ability to understand it, which is kind of interesting, in a way. It's true. The Palpatine was very deliberate in the way he set up everything. And the Empire...
I like the way that he brings up, it's like, well, this old tech that isn't traceable, no one knows how to use it anymore because it's slowly being phased out.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, the Empire is bloated and bureaucratic by design. It's designed to move slow, but also to infiltrate every section of your life. Like 1984, you rely on the state. The state tells you what to do. You don't question the state. And, slowly it starts to absorb everything that's actually truth, and then it demands its own truth. And you don't have any way to really question it because you don't understand what's going on. So, yeah.
It'd be interesting if that manifesto was like made into a real thing and released as a little mini novel or something.
Yeah, I will say the only thing I don't like about this particular article is that they're calling Nemik's writing like the equivocation of a communist manifesto. It's not a communist manifesto at all. That's not what the rebels are even standing for. They're standing for understanding and then also rebelling against oppression. I think it's kind of, I'm not going to like shout out the website. I'm not going to shout down the writer, but I think that that's a really dumb equivocation because you can't just say that just because the guy has some sort of you could call the Federalist Papers that back up the Constitution a manifesto because it's there to explain the Constitution and nobody reads those. You can call a lot of things manifestos that are, but you don't equate it to the Communist Manifesto. That's a completely different thing.
It's like a teenager trying to write this who thinks they're more intelligent than they are.
Yeah, this isn't Hitler writing Mein Kampf. This isn't, Karl Marx writing, the Communist Manifesto. This isn't that at all. He's effectively trying to put into some sort of context that he can understand what he's seeing so that he can, help maybe try and educate other people around him to resist it. Because at the end of the day, it's all programming. So,
right. Yeah, that's That's interesting.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I did find interesting in here when we're talking about this plan, so apparently there's like a vehicle that's attached to a cable that they're stealing. So the other
guy, don't
guy,
know the weight.
yeah, and that's the interesting thing. So the other guy we have here is Terraman, and they're basically asking Andor, "How do you know the weight?" Like, and he's like, "You don't know? What do you?"
That's funny. At first, I thought like he legitimately didn't know because he was so dumbfounded. Which I thought that was kind of a cool little bait and switch. But yeah, that was a really entertaining scene. It's like, oh my God, you don't know this. You're going to get us all killed.
Well, and the thing is they have an Imperial lieutenant, and you didn't think to ask him about this?
Right. Yeah, like, why would Andor know this after a day on the job compared to your inside man?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Gorn is the lieutenant, and his thing is, and we also learn backstories as to kind of why they're helping here. Gorn, he had a lady, he lost a promotion, he lost the girl. Doesn't seem like she was killed, just lost everything, which is sort of weak. And I can understand why Cassian. Yeah, I can understand why Cassian's a little suspicious of that.
It amazes me that Keen is so suspicious of Andor, but not the Imperial with the fairly not so heartbreaking backstory.
Yeah, and I mean, even Skeen's backstory is that
Skeen, not Keen.
Yeah, no, you're good. His brother, who is a tree farmer, of all things, was basically
Pepper tree.
Well, the same thing that happened, like, I mean, we saw this on Lothal where, farmers were like, we're going to buy your land. It's like, I don't want to. Well, then we're going to kill you. But they didn't kill him. His brother committed suicide because the Imperials flooded his land and he effectively lost his livelihood, which is fair. But
I feel like it would have been a bit more impactful if they actually had killed him, though. Especially when you lead in by saying that the Empire killed him. Not to get into this topic, but they didn't force him to do it. I mean, yes, he felt completely lost and
that's tough.
Broken, didn't know what to do. I understand that. I'm not discrediting that. Don't yell at me, people. But it's just, it's not a matter of that specifically. It's a matter of these backstories being a bit weak in general. They're just not well put together.
But at least they do have a backstory. That's something.
Yeah.
I did think it was also kind of funny-ish. So Cinta was the other female character, and we got a little Cassian, trying to be a little suave, a little flirty.
Yeah, just a crappy version of Han Solo, basically.
Kind of. Thank you for bandaging my arm. Would you like to see my crystal? Your what? I mean, my kyber crystal, not anything else. It's not innuendo or anything like that, but like if you did.
She already shares a blanket, Andor. Don't get any funny ideas.
But we're in hammocks. Don't question it.
You guys have blankets?
Yeah. So anyway, there are a lot of small takes here. Our lieutenant, kind of bantering back and forth with a couple of different Imperials in this, like the communications guy on the bridge, and the workers down in the plant here, and giving them time off that fits into the plan. That's interesting. We even get a little bit more with our Imperial intelligence officer on Coruscant, who's still trying to crack.
Supposedly was supposed to only have one episode according to IMDb, which I knew was crap. But
yeah, they were weird on that. But there was a Hosnian Prime that was dropped, which was Starkiller Base in Force Awakens. They talked Kessel, Jakku. They even talked about that. So she's still trying to figure out the kind of rebels weird randomness here. It's too random not to be random. And did you also catch it? She's like taking a pill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of wonder what that's all about. I mean, could be something simple. I mean, like they're pulling an all-nighter, obviously, and it would go towards the obsessive nature of Imperials to, not care about their own bodies, just to keep working over and over and over. But yeah, I kind of hope that gets fleshed out. She's an interesting character. She reminds me of Price and a few others. So I'm hoping they really give her a good backstory and, decent motivations.
Right. So anyway, as we kind of move along with Cassian, we'll talk about the Mon Mothma of it all as well, maybe at the end. But so we move along with the group. They're packing up, moving closer to the Imperial base to get ready. We finally have the confrontation as Skeen is able to take Andor's Kyber crystal and Sky Crystal and
Sky Kyber.
Yeah, Sky Kyber. And Andor finally just fesses up. He's like, "Look, I'm getting paid for this. That's why I'm here. I'm getting paid. If you want the truth, there it is." And I think the big thing here is, you do have to be honest. And whatever your motivations are, at least they know them. And I think it was kind of a dumb thing to hide. It's like, yeah, we got a mercenary. And really the only thing is you just can't ask who's paying him and who dropped him off here. That's the thing that you can't know.
I think it would have been funny, like, as Skeen mentions, like, oh, he's got this and it's worth 30,000. If Andor would have just been like, Luthen told me no less than 50.
Yeah.
Luthen. Wait, what?
That would have been kind of funny. Oh, boy. So we're kind of left in the dark in this episode as to what's going to happen. That will all obviously be carried on. It does seem like we're just going to do a little tiny bit of a slower march onto that actual point of impact. But we're getting close to the heist.
And, I do like how they set up tension between the group with, what's her leader? Vel. Her kind of siding with Andor quite a bit on little comments he makes. One of them being marching order, marching position, kind of observing dominant hand and positioning on that. And, she just asked, like, well, do you know everyone's dominant hand? He's like, yeah, except for Weirdo over here. He likes to favor his left, even though he's right-handed when he's shooting and all that. But just kind of showcases how observant Andor is and how really built to be a spy he is with his perception skills. But I mean, we kind of end on a slow note, which is fine. It's the last setup episode. We get kind of a little scene of Luthen being extremely worried about everyone, trying to check in with Vel and contact everybody. It kind of shows in a nice light the assistant being, not necessarily so much of an assistant as much as a partner. She's definitely in the know with all this. So I'm intrigued to see her role going forward as well.
He's like the face, and she's definitely the support, but a much more equal support.
Yeah, like a handler in a way.
Yeah, another thing I did like with the Andor in this group, first of all, this group is terribly inexperienced. You can tell that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's the part where he said, starts talking about fear, and he's like, I can tell you're all scared. And then it's like, well, are you scared? It's like, yeah, of course I'm scared. But the difference is I'm not going to lose my nerve. You know what I mean? And I think that even with Skeen, it's like you can kind of tell that there's an underlying lack of confidence there, even though he's like supposed to be the big tough enforcer guy. But how inept they're telling him to be observant. It's like, well, yeah, you got to march like them and this. It's like, first of all, Andor's impersonated Imperials. He stole that star drive already. He knows. he's picking up the little language hints that they were giving him. He's telling them, like you said, how to march and all this stuff. It's like, your attention to detail sucks. It's like, why am I not leading this mission?
Yeah, it's really hard to say which one's worst at it, whether it's Vel or Elle, who's our character that ends up taking over for this group of 4. Tenzin?
Like Terramin or something like that. We called him
Terramin. Yeah.
It's an interesting group. I'll say that much, but 100% people are gonna die. Terramin, I think he could survive. I think he'll survive.
I like Terramin.
I think him and Vel
more than the
survive.
rest. He's probably my favorite of the group, honestly. Our other girl really gets no screen time, so I don't have much of an opinion of her one way or the other. I feel like she could be a cooler character, but they kind of just have blown her off. Hopefully they get a little more time with her. I feel like what they'll do...
Yeah, I feel like what they'll do is they'll make her like have some badass like fighting scene, but then she'll die, Vel will go sad, and then like maybe Skeen will try and save the kid, but ultimately the kid will also get shot up too, so they'll both kind of die off. I feel like that's what's going to happen. We're definitely losing more than half of this team.
Yeah. So the real question is, do you think Gorm's going to get caught up in all this?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one to tell. I don't know, man. We'll see.
I mean, he's done a very good job of making himself seem still like a loyalist. I mean, he's even berating people about not getting something painted. You know,
right.
he's definitely doing the part. So I don't think that they'll really catch on to unless someone accidentally like calls for him or something crazy like that. Yep. Or if he just, ends up getting shot in the crossfire, because obviously he's going to be forced to be on the battlefield at that point. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think we'll see him again after this if he does survive, because realistically, unless he gets sent to another station, he's stuck there. So,
you know what might be interesting, and it could be like a lesson learned for Andor that we see in Rogue One. Maybe the lieutenant will actually shoot one of the compatriots to stay in cover. And that could be like a tie-in to Rogue One.
I could see him shooting the kid.
That's where he learned
because the kid would be,
Or either that, or the kid's already dead, and Skeen's like, maybe kind of a little bit of a sacrificial thing there.
Mm-hmm.
That could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Or, maybe they get caught right off the bat and captured by them, and, they end up executing one of them and then sending them off to be jailed, and he's the one that ends up commanding it, and then they break out.
Could be.
I think that would be kind of an interesting arc to go with on it.
It would be different. It would definitely be different.
Yeah. So that's basically where we leave off with that. Nothing really else going on with Siren as well. He's just looking at his holo, obsessing over Andor. So really all that we have left is to get into Mon.
She has a daughter.
She has a very old daughter, and it's a very dysfunctional family, which we kind of got a little glimpse of in the last episode, but it's very expounded upon in this one.
It kind of pulls a lot of parallels to Leia.
Absolutely.
I think, except Han was more supportive than this husband guy.
This guy's a tool.
He's a tool.
I don't like him at all. I don't care if he's justified in being, feeling neglected. He's just a jackass. So
I'll tell you the biggest difference though between Mon Mothma and Leia is I think Mon Mothma enjoys the high life more.
Oh, absolutely.
Leia's not. She's literally in the trenches. And Mon Mothma is up in the sky in perfect clothes in this really like Art Deco, Great Gatsby giant house with all these little fancy things, trying to get her daughter to go do things and drivers.
What Mon Mothma is a relic of the Republic, fighting to get her status back.
Yeah, and I don't want to like bury her completely, but like there's nothing about
That's
this.
Just true.
Yeah.
It's just the character that she is. It doesn't necessarily make her terrible because of that, but
yeah. And I'm not saying she doesn't do good things, because we even hear at the end, she talks about like, and she's in the car with her husband and he's like, why didn't you tell me about this new fund you started? It's like, well, it's charitable. I didn't think you'd be interested. But
even Leia wasn't that harsh with Han near the end.
No.
Like in Force Awakens.
No. I really don't have much sympathy for her at all. And you're right. That is a pretty perfect explanation or description. Just a remnant of the Republic and kind of, in a way, trying to hold on to that sort of luxury lifestyle that they had, where even like Luthen, he's going out and getting his hands dirty and still returning back to be, to play the character. But I just don't like Mon Mothma. The more and more I watch of her, it's like, this is you're reinforcing things that I've said for a long time. I just don't like the character. Like personally, I think the character is good for the story. I just don't like the character.
That's what I was going to bring up. I personally think that is the entire point of Mon Mothma after A New Hope, when we actually start to flesh her out. I think the entire point is showcasing an inability to learn from past mistakes and to inevitably repeat them, because she spirals the New Republic into the same conflict, the same downfall that the Republic faced. She learned absolutely nothing, and she was actually there. She was old enough to be a part of the downfall of the Republic. Her decisions, her standing, her voting, everything she did helped lead to Palpatine. And after Palpatine was gone, she wanted the status quo to be reinstated. She is the gluttony and the
vanity,
ineptitude, the vanity of the Republic. The Republic is always doomed to fail. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, it sucks because, like, if any of you listening haven't read the Aftermath series, highly recommend, because I do feel like that fleshes out a lot of this even more. Her decisions at the birth of the New Republic, I felt were problematic. And I've said this before. Who should have become Chancellor? Leia. Not an ambassador, not a work all the time. She should have been the Chancellor. And Mon Mothma should have let herself go, fade to the back, and say, your time to lead.
Yeah.
My time is over. It's your time to lead.
And, a little bit of a perspective shift from this scene in the Princess and the Scoundrel book, because she was adamant about Leia actually taking time with her husband, even though she still ended up kind of screwing it all up because, hey, this would be a good diplomatic show for you to show up on this cruise liner. Let's do this. But she was adamant about her actually taking time. And I feel like, in a way, obviously she's her mentor. She does truly care about Leia, Leia's family, and she wants to help Leia. That is her one redeeming quality in my eyes, is that she truly cares about this girl. And seeing that she has a daughter who's pretty much the same age, that she's clearly not close with, that she's neglected, kind of helps flesh out why she cares so much about Leia. Maybe she's, the replacement daughter that she never got to have because she neglected her. But I do like seeing these scenes of how dysfunctional her family are, because it does showcase her trying to save Leia from the same fate, even though ultimately it didn't happen. But so that was kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know. There are redeemable qualities for the character, obviously, but there are also a lot of things about her that just rankle you.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough to really care that much about Mon Mothma. Just a reality for me. And this
can't all
series
be as
isn't
cool as
helping.
Bail Organa.
Well, and that's the other thing. Bail Organa was out there getting his hands dirty too.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love to see Bail in this show, personally. I think that'd be pretty sick.
yeah, I don't feel like we will, because like his whole cell was a little different. You know, that dealt with a little bit different elements.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to continue to like run down Mon Mothma and stuff, but I think a lot of things would have been different had we just moved past her.
Yeah.
Know. But
absolutely.
still fair, somehow crucial to the rebellion.
Absolutely.
Still searching, but I'm sure it's there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Akbar's predecessor is important to the rebellion. That's not saying a whole lot. So, I mean,
No.
well,
Admiral
can get
Akbar's was a lot more important to the rebellion in a lot of ways than most people were. Mon Cala was more important to the rebellion than half of them, because they built the ships.
Oh, there is no rebellion without those ships.
No. The Mon Cal deserve all the respect in the world, because they built the ships. Mm-hmm. And
yep.
provided a lot in the way of strategy.
And manned them. They didn't even just provide them, they manned them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
So, well, do we need to talk about anything else? Are we moving towards the end here, huh?
I believe we're pretty much at the end.
Okay.
Unless we have some crazy post-credit scene that I am not going to take the time to check for.
No, I don't care. But hey, look, ratings-wise, gave last week's episode an 8.3, and I gave it an 8. So what do we got, man? What's your rating and why for this week, episode 5?
Yeah, so this episode continues to slowly build upon everything that I feel like the Andor series is doing right. We have slow but progressive character growth. Some of it being a little bit more meh, with our squad mates, but getting to see our character growth with all the dysfunctional aspects of Cyril's Cyril. Yeah, Cyril's character. We get to see some pretty cool moments of Andor showing off all of his spy skills, his perception skills, and there's not a whole lot to say that stands out in this episode for me. I hate to say that. It's not that I don't like the episode. It's just it was well written, well acted, and just very realistic. It was actually something you could believe happened, unlike everything that happened with Kenobi and all these other shows. It's just very well done in general. I don't have a lot to expound upon on that, but yeah, it's just a good episode. Definitely filler, but that's fine. I can't necessarily say it's as high rank as last week's, but it's definitely up there. So I'm going to go with a 8.2.
Okay, 8.2. I'm going to say this, and this is where my hot take comes in. This is exactly how you're supposed to write a transitional episode. I loved everything about it. It was, for me, engaging. It showcased a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of character paths, and that's kind of difficult. I enjoyed the living hell out of it. I thought it was just overall fantastic. You get a little bit of everybody's personality. You further the storyline. I don't mind the slower pace. Like, sometimes you have to have development. I assume next week we're going to have our attempt on the Imperial base. That's what I assume. Because, again, this is moving in 3-episode arcs. Episodes 1 through 3, 1 arc. Episodes 4 through 6, I think, is the next arc. And then we're going to move on from there. I just think people are so ruined by
impatient.
Well, impatient. Yeah, 100% impatient and all this crap with binge TV. Look, this was actually really freaking good. Like, you're missing the point. You're getting to know all these characters. Everybody complained about not everybody. A lot of people complained about Rogue One, saying we didn't get to know the characters well enough, which I think was BS. Now you're actually learning more about the characters. You're getting a little bit more into the day-to-day grind. You're seeing what it takes to be a rebel, and you're also seeing how ill prepared they were in this beginning stage. But I don't know, man. It really hit a great stride for me. I really, really enjoyed what we got. And it makes me more excited to see what's coming up than less excited. So it was definitely better than last week's episode for me. And yeah, so my initial thing was going to be an 8.5. I think I'm going to stick with my initial thought. I'm going to put in an 8.5 for that. I enjoyed it. I don't really care what people think about that. I enjoyed it. It was really good. And it makes me really look forward to the next week. So,
yeah. And I'll say one more thing. The writers of Kenobi and a few other series, not even just Star Wars really, but they all really could learn something from this series on transitional episodes.
Well, they can not only learn about writing, they learn about how to operate a camera, how to edit a show. They can do a lot. God,
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind. We're on episode 6. This is where we ended Kenobi.
Yeah.
And we had no development or growth whatsoever in that show. And this show, which is obviously by most people's standard, was not even close to the anticipation level as Kenobi, has so much more care and love put into it by every actor, by the writers, by the producer. I mean, they put so much more effort into this, and it's kind of sad in a way. I'm very glad because I thought that it would be kind of the ignored series, just the one that people put the least effort possible into. So I'm happy they did. But the show that everyone thought would be, it's a sleeper. A lot of people had very low expectations of this show, and I think that speaks volumes to it.
Right.
Because it doesn't need to have a big name like Kenobi or Anakin. It doesn't have to have a big, explosive battle so far for it to be entertaining.
Yeah.
It's just a better show in general.
I agree, man. I agree. So there we go, folks. Hopefully you're enjoying Andor and enjoying the podcast, all that good sort of stuff. I think we're kind of moving towards the point where we're going to start signing off, but I guess last call. Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, if you'd like to interact with the show, of course, find us on Facebook, Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. You can also send us a good old-fashioned email if you have any thoughts, theories, contradictions, whatever. Send that over to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear your opinions on the show. So do it. Do it or do not. There's no try. You literally have to type and do stuff. But anyway, folks, that's it for us. So y'all have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.